laboratory for linear accelerator, and several others. So right now we have many students which are hopefully out of Ukraine now and somewhere in France and protected from this war, which is already here in Ukraine. Several words about the current situation. Actually, maybe all of you have heard already that this morning Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant was under attack of Russian troops. Now it's occupied. I mean, this site is occupied by Russians, and but personnel is operating nuclear power plants. Actually, this power plant has 6 units. 2 of them are under cooling down conditions. 3 more stopped, shut down, and 1 unit is in operation, about 68% of installed capacity. Personnel of nuclear power plant is allowed to operate. I don't know what will happen next, because from the Chernobyl nuclear power plant, I knew that people there were arrested, but this plant was not under operation. Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is under operation now. That's why this is absolutely different story. And also there are several points of concerns about the fuel and possible intact issue of nuclear power plant units. Right now, hopefully, unit 1 is a little bit damaged, but this is not a containment itself, but we call it outer shell of this reactor unit. And also fire was ignited. Hopefully now it's okay. I mean, no fire, but some damages still occur. This is the latest news from Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. In general, we see here very difficult or very different, I would say, situations. At some sites, Russians are very weak, and they do give up, and they even running from our troops. But in some other places, unfortunately, we cannot be very much resisting, because Russian troops has majority in live resources. First of all, our army is doing just excellent job. They are fighting for Ukraine, for our freedom, but our resources are limited, and we're trying to redirect them just to make sure that tomorrow also we will be in Ukraine as well. Some words about situation in Ukraine. I mean, not in Ukraine, in our university. Actually, yesterday we made a call around. I mean, I contacted all our people, all my professors, and all other people who are doing research at our department. Hopefully, all of them are okay, located either in Kyiv or somewhere nearby. Students are away from our faculty. I also, in interview for Lucile, I mentioned about several dozens of students which are still at our faculty in the basement, or to be more certain, in the cloakroom. They cannot leave, unfortunately, Kyiv, and altogether all our professors are donating them with some money, because they have no possibility even to have a meal, normal meal now. And with respect to other people, yesterday also there was a meeting at our rectorate, and our rector told that we need to be in the working conditions. So that's why we got yesterday some tasks for our nearest and more far future we need to address. And also we started hiring our research staff just to start up with our research project. And I also mentioned in the interview for Lucile that it was a problem because people were without salaries. And now, hopefully, our management at university was able to allocate some funding for them. That's why we are starting now our research, and we'll try to do the best and to pay people to have at least some money for meal, for water, and whatever could be possible. So in general, our spirit is high, and we're trying to support each other, and we believe in our victory. But it's not easy. This is for sure, because we see here, just terrifying ongoing developments and terrible explosions, ruins, debris. People are suffering, and around we're faced with so many war criminals which have been listed already. And we do very much hope that in future those who are guilty for this, they will be punished. But we need to survive before this will happen. So this is in general what I would like to say. Any other questions, whatever, would be very much welcome. I'm ready.
Thank you very much, Igor Kadenko, for your testimony. And for sure, there will be questions, I think. But right now, I wanted to hear Igor Dotsenko. So you're in France, but you know also what's happening because you have a lot of connection in Ukraine, and maybe you can give us what you tell us what you know and how you feel about this.
Yeah, thank you, Lucile. So indeed, I'm here in France. I'm from Ukraine. I was studying at the physics department where Igor Kadenko is now teaching. So, and of course, I have lots of friends over there. Still in Kyiv, as Igor said. Of course, I have lots of all my parents are there. My grandparents are there, scattered in the central part of Ukraine, from Kyiv, Irpin, which is hardly attacked during last 1 week, in Cherkasy, in Uman, and some of my relatives, they're military fighting. Others are taking part in the local territory defense. Others are serving in the hospitals in Dnipro city. And most of them are spending their nights in shelters. So it's terrible. And from here, half a day we spent on telephone, contacting all our relatives just to try to coordinate, to discuss what to do and how to proceed. And just, I don't know. So it's difficult to say much more on that. So what we have said lots of things about. So yes, there is no. It makes not much sense to discuss what is happening in Moscow, in the head of one single person responsible and all that, and hopefully everyone has understood what Ukrainians have been repeatedly telling over the last 9 years. And I remember our first manifestation here in Paris back in 2014, early 14, with some transparents comparing Hitler to Putin, or Putin to Hitler. And of course, all this was taken here in France as a kind of cartoon, a la Charlie Hebdo. So it was not taken really seriously, but of course, people understood that it's also part of anti-Russian propaganda. And yes, nowadays we do understand, everyone does understand that this comparison is more than reality, actually. It's terrible. And this night attack to the nuclear power station, and we could not sleep here. We were watching all this online and just praying just to stop. So it's really crazy. There is no explanation, there is no reason, there is nothing rational about that. And the only way to stop this is to really mobilize everyone, not just Ukrainians. As Igor said, Ukrainians are fighting excellently. But even 300 Spartan warriors could not stop the large army just because of numbers. So it's just mathematics. So we do need any help. So just to say something that I see from here a little bit better is the news that we see on the TV channels. So all day long we have BBC channel, CNN channel, we have France Television, we have many channels. And on the other side, of course, we do have Ukrainian news. We do have live streaming from Irpin streets, from Bucha streets, from everywhere in Ukraine, and we try just to compare them. And so what I can say about that. So during the first days, I was really dispirited about how all this was sold on the European and Western TV channels, because most of information, of course, there was not much of precise information, but the general spirit was about Ukraine already taken, and the main problem to solve is the refugees. And that was the first several days. I do remember the map of Ukraine with lots of red arrows all across Ukraine, strikes from Russia coming from very north to very south and backwards, giving impression that Ukraine is really captured, no way to protect, no way to talk about NATO aid, military aid, and so on and so forth. But for Ukrainians, for my parents, for my friends, for my relatives, it was extremely important for these first days to get really not just deep concern or just future economical aid to reconstruct the country once the war is finished, but really help now. And when we're talking about military aid, it's any kind of aid. It's not just putting NATO soldiers, but it spans from the special medical military support backed down to Soviet airplanes, which are in Europe, which Europe has, and which we can use extremely efficiently. So another about the news is that during the first days, I was watching, of course, the different American, European, British, and so on, experts about the army forces, comparing the Russian army and Ukrainian army. And of course, all credits were for the Russian army because we were just comparing numbers. But I do want to understand you that it's not just war in Afghanistan, it's a bit more. Because war in Afghanistan, it was far away somewhere. It was during the 10 years, and the losses were really redistributed in time. So now within several days, we have huge number of casualties, civilian casualties, military on both sides. And the situation in Afghanistan is a bit different. Yeah. And of course, you cannot just compare numbers. And what Igor Kadenko said is that Ukrainian army is doing excellent job, and it shows the whole country and all people are doing this job, because army is useless if it doesn't have people behind it. Of course, special attention should be put on the Russian propaganda here in France. And again, that's the problem that I see during the last 8 years. When I'm starting to talk about propaganda, people are starting to think about what we call propaganda here. Like we have 10 or 20 TV channels, and on each channel we have different opinions, and some of them are fake. So this is a kind of French-like or European-like propaganda, yeah? But it's not the same in Russia. So you should understand, we must, that on all of their, 20, 30 channels, all day long they keep talking about Nazis, about fascists in Ukraine. This morning I saw the reportage of the BBC correspondent from Moscow downtowns, and he really was questioning people on the street, and they deeply believe that they are fighting against Nazis. So it's the same Nazis that all the world was fighting back during the World War II, and they do justify all losses and all casualties. They really, and I do understand this very deeply, because as I said to Lucile, I was born Soviet. I do remember my Soviet feeling to my great land, my great state country. Fortunately, we were able to escape this, and Ukraine has done a great job on this decommunization, but it was never done in Russia. And actually what they see now is just some kind of phantom pain from the Second World War. They still think that conceptually, spiritually, they're fighting against dead Nazis. And it's extremely dangerous, because it's not just Putin, giving orders, but it's also the people, or not all people, sure. We have lots of excellent Russian friends with us, but there are extremely significant part of populations who are really supporting Putin, maybe not physically, but by voting, by talking, by just making this, how it was done in the Nazi Germany. And that's really important. It will be very important after the war, because we had no de-Sovietization in the former Soviet Union after its decay, and that's the big problem. And why I'm talking about propaganda here in France, because here in France, and why I know what is on Russian TV channel, because here in France we do have TV channel, At home, I have Freebox. I switch on, and I see Russian channels like Russia 24, which is the same channel Russian people are watching day and night in Moscow, in St. Petersburg, all around the country, and also in the occupied regions of Ukraine. And yesterday we keep talking about Ukrainian army bombarding Kyiv and Kharkiv to accuse Russian forces, which are peacekeeping forces, and so on and so forth, really. And the extremely glorious news about victories on the front, about captured soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers, which are forced to fight because of their Nazis and fascists. Okay, it's difficult to distinguish. I'm not sure they do understand the difference, but it doesn't matter for them. And it really, it's extreme. And we have still all these shit. I'm sorry for that. Here in France, European Union has announced the closing of the Russia Today channel and the Sputnik channel. Partially, they're right. So the Russia Today France and Russia Today on the Spanish language, for instance, they are really shut down. But we still have Russian Today in Arabian language. We still have Russia Today parallel channels like documentary channels and so on, where they keep diffusing some documentaries about the crimes of the Nazi Germany, just making links with the phantom and the fake crimes of Ukrainian people during the last 10 years or more. And of course, we have all package of Russian channels. Some of them are free, some of them you can subscribe for €2 or so, and just sitting on your couch in your living room here in France and just watching all that propaganda. They keep talking about the special operation, the denazification, whatever it means, about Ukrainian Nazis fighting against glorious Russian troops, showing no casualties. And if they show something, it's for sure Ukrainian missiles, strategical missiles, whatever, bombarding peaceful Kyiv, Kharkiv, Sumy, Chernigov, Cherkasy, Uman, Mariupol, Berdyansk, and so on and so on and so on and forth. Okay, so I will stop because, as Igor said, we can talk forever. So
yeah, thank you very much. We can feel how emotional and I mean, I know it's difficult right now to talk and to be to talk about this, but thank you very much. Please write your questions. I see that you started already. Also, I know there are also some other Ukrainians here, so if you want to talk, just leave a message and we'll give you the possibility to talk. So the first question is from Olivier Sandre, who is a researcher in France, and he's asking a specific question about the power plants. He's asking if there is a sufficient amount of diesel to supply the safety generators in case of emergency. Maybe Igor Kadenko, you can answer the question. Really, I mean, a bit technical about the power plant.
Lucile, I didn't hear exact question. The concern is about what?
So you can also read the question in the chat. Is there a sufficient amount of diesel to supply the safety generators in case of emergency?
Is there sufficient of diesel to supply the safety generator in case of emergency? I mean, the site of nuclear power plant itself?
Yes.
Yes, of course. Actually, for this nuclear power plant, we have, as I mentioned, 6 units. Each of them is of 1,000 megawatts of installed capacity. And 5 out of 6 just pass the procedure of lifetime extension. And according to this project, all diesel generators stations were thoroughly checked and replaced and maintained. That's why, yes, all the requirements concerning the necessity to switch on those diesel generators just to make sure that the cool down will be safely done it will be addressed. Yes, that's why the question is clear, and the answer is yes, absolutely. This is just foreseen and available on site.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question was
these are not just some kind of words, because actually we participated in the lifetime extension of Unit 5, which was the last one in this series. That's why I'm very much familiar with the current situation in at this nuclear power plant site. This is not just the words of people who are looking, from outside. I'm very much familiar with inside situation at this nuclear power plant. Good. Second question, yeah, Lucile.
yes. The second question was it's more politics. I mean, it's Russia has the world's largest nuclear arsenal, and Putin invokes it regularly. So can he use it? I mean, I guess the answer is yes, but maybe you can comment.
Yeah, Renata, first of all, I am pleased very much, and thanks a lot for words of support, because, this is very important for us to feel that the people are united all over the world, just to make sure that we are not single in this fighting with Russia. Then, what is our military experience? Russia launched about 500 missiles into Ukraine territory. And it is one of them, let's say, was hitting the building of Faculty of Physics and Technology at Kharkiv University, and it fell down between several buildings and did not explode. That's why, and this is not just unique case. I mean, among those missiles, several did not explode, and this means that not a very good situation actually occurs in Russia with respect to their arms. And my answer to this question would be the following: yes, because Putin is crazy, it can easily push his red button just to initiate the World War III. But I do very much hope that not every missile will be able to leave Russia and to go outside, I mean, to fly just outside the Russian territory. That's why this is my vision.
And just to add on that, during the Soviet times, we remember several cases where the final decision was put on the officers, not on our General Secretary, the chief of the republic. And at that time, at least, we had really very reasonable officers understanding very well the consequences of these decisions during the war, during the Caribbean crisis, for instance. And we hope, of course, we never know, but we do hope that since it's not Putin who really turned the button or push on the button, there is a really complicated chain of the decision taking and information transformation. We do hope that there will be some reasonable people who will just, take some ill bill and stay at home, or just make, just mimic, just stop doing this. Hopefully, at least we saw similar situation, not with nuclear weapons, but with some ordinary army forces in Afghanistan, in different conflicts, where some people were just ignoring, or not really ignoring, but trying to sabotage, as we said, execution of some orders, some of them. Of course, from here, we never know what really happens there. We just believe.
Thank you very much.
Perhaps a more personal question. We can switch back to geopolitics after a while, but the question is from Stéphane Bonelli. We can't imagine what you go through. Technically, can you walk? Do you have the moral left to walk? Do you walk on your fire? Igor, both of you?
Yes. Actually, as I mentioned, that every day we are online, and we got some tasks to proceed with. And yes, we are remotely, ready and working, and even doing some research and preparing some new courses, revising our educational materials. The reason for this that we have till the next Monday we have so-called vacations, forced vacations, unfortunately, and we are not just waiting, sitting and looking into our window, etc. No, we are working and trying to be united together, because otherwise it's very easy to become crazy just listening all the news from all the sources. That's why, yes, my answer is yes, we are working hard and trying to do our the best as much as possible.
I have another question from the chat, which is linked to what one I had in mind concerning the Russian scientists. Do we have bonds or ties with them? And what should we do? What should you do concerning the collaboration with the Russian scientists? Should it be shut down, or should it go on?
From my experience, I know very good Russian guys. Let's say our department is involved in Dune collaboration with Fermilab, in Bell 2 collaboration in Japan, and CBM collaboration in Germany. And this is up to governments of those leading countries. For example, in Germany, they decided to fully suspend all the relationship with Russia in spite of their position. But this is the decision of their government. That's why, I don't know what would be the best way to proceed now. To punish Putin, yes, probably the full stopping any relationship with Russian scientists would be the best. But there is a possibility to punish also very, very nice people who really do support Ukrainians. That's why, this depends from country to country. If this decision will not be harmful for country, probably it's possible. If not, who knows? It have to.
Yes, so I can add. So situation is really difficult because we are scientists and we consider science to be above all politics and economics and so on. And at some extent, it's true. But on the other side, we should remember the V2 program of Nazi Germany, which was supported by scientists, which was led by scientists, but controlled fully by Nazis. And we remember the bombing of London with V2. Yeah. So I guess what we have been seeing during last maybe 10 years, it's the huge propaganda of the Russian Federation on the glorious Russian science, on the glorious Russian weapon. And what Igor Kadenko said about these missiles were just falling down without exploding, it just shows the very bad situation. And of course, they use the international scientific collaboration also to spread this kind of propaganda. And what we saw here during the first 2 days on the European channels with Ukrainian almost completely captured, it was also consequence of this propaganda, of these fake on the glorious something. And unfortunately, our good friends which are there, and I do want them to continue to do research. At the same time, I don't want them to be taken as hostage by the Russian government and by Russian military forces. We know that there are huge sanctions of the Moscow Physics and Technology Institute, which from Soviet time was working for the military, and of course all the present military power of Russia is due to scientists. What are their personal reasons were? And of course I don't want to specify what kind of science, because science is extremely, it's very general. It's from history, it's humanitarian sciences, it's technical. But at some point we should take decision. I don't see how it would be possible to continue to collaborate with Nazis Germany during the Second World War. So that's unfortunately the price everyone should accept if we want to stop. Unfortunately, I regret all my friends, but I don't see, and this is actually what we did with most of our relatives living there in Russia. So we don't say this, but I'm sure almost in every single Ukrainian family we have these ties which are cut. First time it was cut during the 2014, and the rest we have cut several days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in fact, about the tension in families or in maybe there is Lena Kononenko, who is a young researcher in France. And so maybe you can introduce, because we didn't talk before, we just sent messages, and so maybe you can introduce yourself and give a bit your
Hello.
testimony about that.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm glad to see you, and glad to see Igor Kadenko and Igor Dotsenko. I finished the same nuclear physics department in Kyiv National University.
We saw each other last summer.
Yeah. Currently, I'm working as a research engineer in École Polytechnique in one of the laboratories in Eloi. I just did the postdoc before there and finished my PhD in Germany. And today I probably want to speak not that much about the situation with the political forces, but rather the in-family situation, because half of my family is in Ukraine and half of my family appears to be in Crimea and even Russia. And the current situation that the news are absolutely different. What people hear in Russia and what people hear in Ukraine are two opposite universes. And the situation is that, okay, in Kyiv, the power probably belonged to a group of people who lost their touch with reality. What they are doing right now doesn't really make sense. Even when trying to explain what is happening, it's complicated. We'll not go too far, but just probably the only way to motivate people on the Russian side to support whatever is happening is to push on patriotism. So whatever is presented there is presented as we are doing a great thing. We're saving people, we're bringing peace, and the problem is that people there do trust it. The problem within families reached the level at which it's no longer tolerable. Some people from Russian side can call their family members from Ukraine and they're like, hold on, the Russia will save you. And just meeting absolute misunderstanding, they would say like, okay, you deserved it. And I wish to say that this is nonsense and this is really rare cases, but this is not. And in this amount of information which exists these days, it's really hard to select the right one. There are a lot of video, a lot of evidences of what is happening. But when a simple person who is just, I don't know, working on the factory and just want to be a nice person, hear that, okay, your government is doing horrible things, it's really hard to accept. And the easiest way is just to reject the reality. Okay, maybe the first days the conflict was between Russia and Ukraine, not a conflict that Russia declared the war to Ukraine. But right now, it's much more than that. And I'm a bit surprised the way these countries see the situation. Before, Igor Dotsenko mentioned the news on French side within the couple of first days. And just yesterday, after a week of war, I received an email from director of ENSTA, this is the engineer school in France, who openly called this, what is happening, the conflict in Ukraine with the weapon, which is not actually the case. I want to be sure that people understand the scales. If Russia is motivating by having the border to protect themselves from NATO, it's not a matter of destroying this border, it's a matter of pushing it down, further down to Europe. And there was the question, what can be done from the French side? Right now, I guess most of the country is asking to close the sky, but we are not military people of science researchers. I really hope that Ukraine will win and our time will come soon. And then there's really a lot of things that can be done for the students, for professors, for the science, because probably you heard that the Karazin University of Ukraine really had suffered a lot. It was bombed, and for example, the sociology faculty was burned. Many students will not have place to continue their studies for a long time. And students is the young generation, the one who will help the country to go to the future. So on our side, the people who stay abroad, we are trying to do all we can. I managed yesterday to contact the director of École Polytechnique, and they are currently trying to work towards hosting the students from Ukraine. Also discussed with the director of LOA laboratory, and people are willing to support. I just hope that soon we'll win and our time will come to bring back the situation to normal.
Well, thank you very much for your testimony. Maybe Igor Kadenko, you can add something about what French researcher can do to help?
No, I'm reading the question from Jan Kodo, and it is mentioned about whether it's possible to do something, some kind of support. There is no possibility of direct line between, let's say, University of Kyiv and somewhere in France or whatever, because actually here in Ukraine we are doing mainly two major things. First one, we are supporting our army, just donating whatever is possible now and wiring our resources to the special account of our National Bank of Ukraine. And the second, we are trying to support each other, but this is being done just between us, at the level of Ukrainian banks, and we are just from count to count trying to wire some money and to support our students, and I mentioned, and some other people which are very much necessitating of our support. That's why my answer would be the following: just to go to some kind of maybe governmental organization or personal establishments which are already existing now, because we receive so many resources, food, supplies, medicines from different countries. That's why I'm not able to directly specify the way to proceed, but no, maybe much better to see it just from France. And also I found the question from Irene Sanchez about the situation in Donbass. Actually, I was born in Donbass, and I know the situation very well because my relatives are still there, hopefully on the Ukrainian side of this border. And in 2014, it was a KGB operation, which was implemented fully according to the major task at that time. Because as far as we remember, the major target was Crimea, and then just to now a little bit hide the stealing, they decided to occupy some part of Donbass and to make sure that the attention will be doubled. I mean, there will be no only one issue, but two issues, and there is a possibility to cross between them, etc., etc. And that's why, of course, I'm in touch, and my relatives are living inside the city Konstantinovka, which is located about 30 kilometers from Donetsk airport. And I'm in touch every day with them, and they told me that the situation now extremely quiet. I don't know why, but this part of Donbass is not heated, fortunately. One of our assumption is that our army there is extremely strong. They have so valuable experience, which they gained during those 8 years. That's why Russian troops are afraid to go there. Otherwise, they will be killed for sure and will be destroyed. But in general, the mood of Donbass people is getting higher and higher, and they do understand that it was a mistake in the year 2014, even to think about any kind of promotion of Russian ideas there. I know some people also from Donetsk itself, and I talked to them, and they explained me now this is not a real city. This is some kind of shut down city without any normal life, etc. And those people are trying to leave Donetsk and going most frequently to Ukrainian side. That's it.
There is one question that maybe I can answer, if you allow me. That's the question from Sasha Sheremet about the kids at school and in Ukraine. Of course, I don't have all information, but my uncle, he's a director of a secondary school in Cherkasy. Cherkasy is not bombarded, but we have permanently airstrike alerts, permanently, day and night. And being a director of this school, of course, they don't have kids at school because we do know how several Ukrainian schools were completely destroyed by bombs, by Russian bombs. And there is no way to put kids all together in one place and to put this danger. For them, it's more reasonable to stay at home. Second, during these airstrike alerts, you have to go down to your basement. If you have huge classes with 1,000 people in a school, it's very difficult to manage that. And at the beginning of this war, we remember some cases. Unfortunately, I don't remember the city because information is just mess in my head. But at some kindergarten during the airstrike alert, kids were hiding with their teachers in the basement. The school was partially destroyed, and then our rescue teams, the firefighters, were spending some time to liberate these kids from the debris. So I guess no way. And my mother in Cherkasy, which is the city with 300,000 inhabitants, she's responsible on the mairie for the primary education, for the kindergarten, école maternelle, for all in the city. And now mostly they're just working in the what we call the civil defense. So it's not territorial defense, it's not military defense, but it's civil defense. So they're preparing every possible means for the case of some catastrophe. For instance, in my city, there is a huge chemical plant. So we were talking about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, but in Cherkasy there is a huge chemical plant with the perimeter which makes about 20 kilometers. It's huge. My father was working there as a guard, so he knows everything, and it has huge storage of very dangerous chemicals, and it's on the bank of the Dnieper River. And we do have bombs, several bombs hit Cherkasy. And of course, it makes all these people in big danger of another technological catastrophe. So for the schools, I guess no way. But I do know that there are some online, they start to make online lessons or kind of lessons. Of course, it's difficult to teach people, to teach kids during this time, but it's very important to be united. So when kids see each other on the internet, at least in the places where we don't have very heavy bombing, and on most of Ukraine, we still have the mobile internet. So, and unfortunately, due to COVID, we do know how to make Zoom meetings. So I know that there are many initiatives really to try to unite kids just online.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you very much. And maybe we can go to students at university. Igor Kadenko, you told me that you also try to keep some online lessons for students those days.
Yes, actually, as I told, we have now a vacation period, so-called forced vacation period. But you know, I have several bachelor and master people who must do their research work and to prepare theses on time. That's why actually I am in touch with all of them. I'm providing tasks and checking the results, which are very much necessary to go ahead, because you know, in any case, whatever will happen, but we need to finalize our educational year on time and to issue the corresponding diploma for our students. And at least those which is depending on me personally will be done in spite of any situation and any problems, because I am actually supporting my students very much all over the world, just when they're here and outside of Ukraine. This is our policy and our current situation.
Okay, thank you. And
just to make clear, so what Igor said, these reports are kind of a stage master, a stage licence here in France, just to make clear.
Okay, well, thank you. And so some people ask about how they help and if they help to welcome researcher or students. And so just to make clear, just let me know if I'm wrong, but so right now it's forbidden for men to leave Ukraine, right? But some people did leave Ukraine before it was forbidden, and women can still leave Ukraine, right? Am I
yeah.
right?
Yes, you're right. Children and women are allowed to leave Ukraine, and adults, I mean men, in the age from 18 to 60, I mean before 60, they are not allowed to leave Ukraine and need to be there within
Okay.
our country.
Okay. Well, and so it's possible that some students, women, want to come to France, and so maybe I guess if researchers in France are able to welcome because they have funds, so they can pay some salary to the students, and they can even maybe find some place to for them to stay. So maybe they can contact you, Igor Kadenko or Igor Dotsenko, and tell, okay, I'm ready to welcome 1 or 2 students. Is
Okay,
that possible? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We will distribute this information between our students and researchers, not only at our university, but also among other universities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
So I have seen lots of more or less private initiatives from different labs and groups, really well, not just in France but in the civilized world, welcoming Ukrainian students for some short or maybe not so short period during this time. And just to add, it's not just about women researchers living in Ukraine now, but we still have many Ukrainian students on their internship here in Europe, in France, which were supposed to leave back to Ukraine, and of course they're stuck here, and they also do need support.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not just I mean, situation as usual. Any situation is more complicated than what we can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And in this case, at some point, we do need the official governmental program on the level of EU, on the level of France, ANR, CNRS, just really some special program supporting the young researchers. And mostly, okay, we need any kind of support, but of course, young researchers, this is the future. This is the future which must be supported. And my colleagues, my students with whom I was in Kyiv, so now they just basically spend their days trying to defend Ukraine. So either literally with a gun or making part of some additional, I don't know, some support help, some communication help. So at least among my friends, no one is doing research this last week. So I mean, so they're still in contact with students, but I mean, most of the day they just trying to do their best to protect Kyiv.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess, I mean, research is not the priority right now, but as Igor Kadenko told me.
Do you hear explosions? Right now we have 2 explosions here, just nearby of my place. Very heavy one.
Okay.
So probably
Not too close, I hope.
Yeah, our house was shaking.
Okay. Well.
So now some jets are flying around. Oh, terrible. Okay, sorry, I did interrupt you.
No. I mean, it's I mean, you're trying to stay alive, so I mean, it's yeah, the most important, I guess. If you need to go to a shelter or something, just leave the meeting.
If the siren will be on, yeah, probably I need to go to my basement. There is no shelter, but some kind of basement, yes.
Okay. Well.
So
yeah, I think yeah, Laurent, go on.
No, I think we all emotional because of your situation here, Igor. Thank you very much for speaking to us. I just in case it might be useful to you or for any persons, France has put a program it's called Pause. It's organized by the Collège de France. You must know it, Igor.
Mhm.
For endangered scholars from all over the world, but especially Ukraine. In these days, so I've put the link in the chat section.
Yeah, thank you.
It's open to everyone in Ukraine, especially people from universities. Yeah. We are approaching the last minute of our meeting. I don't know how to end it properly. In fact, I just want to thank you very much from the bottom of our heart to take the time to talk to us. What can I propose to our readers at TheMetaNews? We will keep in touch with Igor and give you some news along the way in the following weeks and months. Hopefully not months, just weeks.
Yeah.
And we hope that it will be over in a good way soon. So we stay in touch, and I don't know how to end this sentence. I don't want to end this sentence. In fact, I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone.
Yes, our
Thank
pleasure to feel and to see, to understand support from your side. Yeah, thanks a lot.
От Igor Kadenko, бережіть.
We keep in
Дякую.
touch. Thank you, Igor. Thank you, Lena, for your
Ми тримаємося.
testimony.
Слава Україні!
Героям слава.
Героям слава.
Thank you very much. And take care of you.